Hey guys, it's Thrift Flip Thursday with my BFF Joanna. Check out her channel link in my description box as well as the playlist link, and it'll be in the first pinned comment. Just got a little sign from last fall from Dollar Tree. The first thing that's got to go is that sticker. We know the heat gun and the spatula works. Now off with the claw clip on the back, and I just used my pliers. Now the paper, gotta go. Pulled some off, used my sander. The best way to do this though is I took some wet wipes and sprayed it down with some water. And you can use paper towels too as well. But I figured, hey, between the wet wipe and the spray bottle of water, we got this. And I let it just lay on there and soak for just a minute or so. Took it off and then using my scraper from the Dollar Tree to get it off. I did let it soak for another second or so and then pulled it off again and scraped the rest of that glue off. Wiping it down real good. And then I'm going to use my finger sander to really make sure that that's all nice and smooth. And then sand my sides down and my edges. Taking my cloth, make sure your projects are always completely wiped down. And they're dry. Boom, there we go. Clean slate, ready to go. Taking my Waverly White chalk paint. Now first I originally thought I was going to leave this white. And then we're just making a little sign, watermelon sign here again. Like we did in my spindle video the other day. If you didn't watch it, go watch that. Anyway. So I was originally going to leave this sign white. So I gave it 2 coats of the Waverly White chalk paint. Just went around my edges and then on the top, just 2 nice smooth coats. And then we'll make sure that that is completely dry. Then I realized there's something I wanted to do. I'm getting the lemon yellow by Apple Barrel. And I'm going to give it 2 coats of this yellow because now I've decided I want it yellow, not white. Because we're going to do something for me for the first time in just a second. There, my friends, there's bees. You haven't met bees yet. Bees is another quality control inspector, making sure things are done correctly. We're going to crackle. Got out my Elmer's, just regular old Elmer's school glue. Poured some out. Got a sponge brush, which seemed to work really good for spreading the glue. And I'm just making sure that there is an even coat of the Elmer's glue all the way around the edges. And nothing is clumping up and pooling up on the sides. And then I'm going to make sure that there is a nice even coat of the school glue on top. Now, I've seen other people just slop it on, spread it around, and it worked great. I've seen people do what I'm doing and just made sure it was an even coat. It turns out great. It just, how much glue you put on and all that will just depend on how big your crackle is and how much crackle you get. I'm just playing around. This was my first time, so I decided, you know what, let me just make sure there's a nice even layer all the way around. So I did that on all 4 sides and on the top. Okay. Now here's what's important, friends. I'm getting a little nervous. You can tell by my hands. Taking that Waverly White chalk paint. Only make 1 swipe. Boom, swipe. Swipe, boom, swipe, boom. Make sure your paintbrush is always loaded. Boom, swipe. That's it. Don't touch it. Now I'm going to paint my top and just swipe, swipe, swipe. Load my paintbrush again. And I'm going to give it 2 more swipes. And then I should have stopped, but of course I didn't. What's happening is where I'm painting it, where it was already painted, I'm pulling the paint off because it is already starting to crackle. So if you do feel like you got to put some more on, make sure you really have a lot of paint on your paintbrush, but it's best to just stop. Look, right here, boom, I just told myself, okay, stop, put it up. I got to stop. Miss OCD perfectionist, you got to stop and put it down. Then I'm going to dry it because I'm impatient. And you're going to see, you see the yellow starting to come through. And I'm going to get pretty excited here in a second. Oh my gosh, you're going to see the happy dance start in just a second here. Here it is, because it's about to come. Oh my God, it's starting. Oh, there's the happy dance. Oh, happy dance, happy dance, happy dance. Remember, this was my first time, guys, to crackle. I was so excited. So up there where I am at the top right now, it's not coming out as good because I painted over it after I had already painted it. So don't do that, guys. And there she is. Isn't she pretty? Oh, I measured, it was about almost 6 by 6, so I went 5 3/4 by 5 3/4, and we're going to head to the Cricut and make a sign. Here's our sign. There's our words. Remember, always go down, pull by backing off. Gonna line it up best I can. Get that on there. And watermelons are the smiles of summer. And yes, they are, my friends. And boom, there you go. Yeah! And here she is in all her glory. Watermelons are the smiles of summer. Why, yes, they sure are. Look at that crackle. And if you like those watermelon spindles that you see, so here are 2 of those spindles, guys. I'm about to get ready to cut. You can see down in the bottom right, I already cut one of them in about a 2/3 piece and a 1/3 piece. And this other one, I'm cutting about a 1/4 off of it. And that'll give us basically stair steps with our 2 spindles. Now cut into 4 pieces. Ta-da! I'm just taking my sanding block and just sanding off the ends where I cut them. And that was it. I did not saw any of that old paint off or anything. I am now taking my Waverly white paint, chalk paint, and giving these guys a really good coat using a chippy brush, making sure I get in all those little grooves, nooks, crannies, and all that good stuff. And I do give all 4 chunks 2 good coats. Boom, there you go. I did change my mind on the crimson later, but I'll use Shamrock by Apple Barrel. I'll need Scallion by Waverly and my white by Waverly. Here's what we're making, friends. These are 3 ideas that I got off of Pinterest. It was Pinterest inspired. And I kind of put my own twist on things, of course. Going to start with that Shamrock Green by Apple Barrel, the tallest one of the chunks that I have cut. We're going to paint this whole guy with that Shamrock Green. And I'm just using another chippy brush and making sure I just stipple it. And I'm only going to put 1 coat of dark green on this guy. And I'm going to get the whole thing, all the sides, top and bottom. Now, these 2 smaller ones on the 4 sides, I'm only going to do 2 of the 4 sides and do it with the Shamrock Green by Apple Barrel. The other 2 sides will stay white because that's going to be the red part. So you see, this is why I only put 1 coat on. You can see like still the white, and it's a lighter color and kind of like a watermelon rind. I'm now taking my Scallion by Waverly, and I've got a little chippy brush right here, like a distressing brush. And I dab, 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 and spread, spread, spread. Dab, 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 spread, spread, spread. I put it on all the edges from top to bottom, and then I give it a stripe through the middle. And I try not to go too heavy because I didn't want it to be too bright. So what happens here in just a second, after I go all the way around on the tall one here, it was too bright for me. So I take another little stippling brush, distressing stippling, the rough furry brushes, you know, guys. I take a smaller one and I go back to my Shamrock Green. And I'm just trying to blend all of that together. And of course, I'm going to do the same to the small green ones on the 2 sides I did. So there we go. Green is done. And that only got 1 coat of all of that. And then I blended the Scallion. Now, I changed my mind on the crimson here in just a second. I'm using Flag Wet Red by Apple Barrel. I'm now painting the 2 sides that I left white on the 2 middle spindles with the red. And again, just using another brush, getting in all those little nooks, crannies, because remember, this was really rough because I did not sand off any of that paint that was somebody tried to strip off. I wanted to leave that texture on there. I do get the top and bottom, so it looks like a part of the rind of the melon, and then now we have the inside of the melon. Making sure those guys are dry good. I did give it 2 coats of red. Now you can see messy painter alert again. That's what I'm pointing out. It kind of got on my green rind. So back to the green, back to my small stippling, distressing chippy brush. And I'm covering up that red that got out onto the green edges. That's all I'm doing. You can slow this down. I was trying to get through this fast because I didn't want to take up all your time. But you can slow the videos down in YouTube so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. And then I'm just using a wipey here to try to make sure it does stay a little bit neater. I do hit that top and get my rind on there really good. I'm not worried about the bottom anymore at this point. Back to the scallion, and since I did that dark green shamrock, I kind of went back with my scallion again, and I'm kind of going back and forth. I'm not even cleaning that brush, the chippy brush, stippling brush. I'm just kind of going back and forth to blend it all together, which I realized was the easiest way, and I should have done that to begin with. Now that that's dry, I am taking Waverly white chalk paint, and I'm putting that white part just in between the green and the red there on the sides. Just giving it a dab, 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 brush, brush, brush. I kind of do a little bit of everything. Brush, dab, stipple, whatever works good. Now I've got that Ballerina Pink by Waverly, and I'm trying to get a little bit of a pink tone in there between the white and the red. And then you'll see I dab, 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 brush, 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 stipple, stipple, stipple. And then I kind of make even swirly motions. And Gracie's coming to help again. And just trying to blend it all together. And you'll see here in a few minutes, there's my wipey. And I'm just rubbing the fire out of that to really try to blend it. And then there we go. There's our two smaller ones. There's my rind. And there's my watermelon. You see my tall green one in the back there. Ready to go. He's just like a full watermelon. I didn't put any red on him. Ta-da! Then here's the littlest piece. I'm going to make him just like he's just a big chunk of melon. So I will end up giving him 2 coats of the red, which I did do on the red on the 2 middle spindles right there. I did do 2 coats of the red. So it was 1 coat of the green and 2 coats of the red. And now I'm putting on my green just on the bottom, like you had a chunk of a piece of watermelon. And there is no straight lines at all to this whatsoever. This is the only one I do paint the bottom on. The rest of them, I don't stress out about the bottom. So once I give that 2 coats of green on that time, because I had to cover that red, back to the scallion color, and then just blending it all together between the scallion and the shamrock green. Just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, dab, 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 rub, 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 getting the wipey out, because I'm just trying to blend it all together, making sure my red's covered pretty good and I didn't stick a green finger on it somewhere. Once that gets good and dry, about to take my white Waverly chalk paint, and then you see I rub, dabble, stipple, just all the way around between that green and red. And then, of course, I'll go to that Ballerina Pink. And notice I didn't even wash the brush out. I use the same exact chippy brush, stippling brush, to just right there to kind of blend it all together. And then, of course, I'll take my wipey again and kind of rub, rub, rub. Now, I realized I like that white on the edges, and I just did it on the long edges. And then after I stippled that on the edges, kind of like to distress it, I rubbed it. So it gave it a little bit of a pop of the color. You can really see it on the big one. Remember, you can slow this down. Time for some seeds, people. I'm just using black apple barrel paint with a thicker tipped brush. And all I'm doing is pushing down. I'm really making sure there's quite a bit of paint on my paintbrush. And then I take it and just press it down. That's all I'm doing. Press and lift. Press and lift. And just randomly placing them on there. Trying to make sure that my one side looks different than the other side. Trying to not stick my finger in the middle of a black spot. That's always fun. I will do the same thing on the 2 middle sticks that are kind of a half and half rind, half melon. And there we go. Okay, guys, back to our little spindle melons. I'm going to take my drill, and I've just got some little sticks that I got from a bag from Dollar Tree, which I'm sure you could go in your yard and get your own stick. I took a drill bit that was about the same size as that, and I hollowed out one right in the middle of the tall one. Now, on these 2 middle ones, which are the half melon, half rind, I put them in that back corner of the green. I just drilled my hole, walled it out a little bit, and then stuck my stick down in. I'm going to take some wood glue from the Dollar Tree and just rub that around the end and stick them in just to make sure that they stay in there. I will end up taking a pair of like trimmers, and I felt like they were too tall, so I do trim the tops of them off a little bit here. You'll see in just a second. I'm going to take some ivy. See, those are the clippers. I told you I'm just clipping them off. Some fake ivy and then some Rafiki. That's what I like to call it. Some raffia. And I'm just going to take it, shred it apart a little bit, and tie it to the ends of the stems, along with some pieces of the ivy, fake ivy plant that I have over there. Words are failing me. Lord have mercy. I'm using my little glue pen right there by Surebonder, which is amazing to do small stuff. And then my little makeup applicator there to help prevent myself from burning my fingers so bad. Needed more raffia right here, more Rafiki. So got some more of that on. And then what I'm doing is, if you were to slow this down, I'm taking it and I'm just kind of pulling it apart and shredding it and making smaller little pieces out of it. And of course, I will do this. This is the tallest one that looks like a complete melon. I will also do this to the two shorter ones over there that are the half like the melon's been cut open. Now, if you had Smart Brain, you would have Mod Podge before putting all your raffia and vine on, but I don't have Smart Brain. So I had to be very careful putting well, didn't have to be careful, but I did take my Mod Podge to give it a clear coat, and I just kind of held it upside down, holding the raffia and the ivy kind of out of the way so that I can make sure I got all of that. And I did give all of those one coat of Mod Podge. There it is. Beautiful, beautiful. Now, these two things came from Thrift Shop as well. The Cherish sign came from the Goodwill. I'm just going to take that and sand that off. Little wagon came from my friend Shelly, which I was reassured that it was thrifted. The sticker on the bottom said it was like a telefloral. So obviously some florals came in it. Going to take my finger sander and I'm just going to sand all that off. And oh my God, that took forever to get all of that black Cherish the day off. Holy goodness. I'm going to take my plaster chalk paint by Waverly and another chippy brush, and I'm just going to give this a hard distressing right here. Not worried about completely covering it. I'm going around the sides. This is going to make us a little sign to go with our melons, by the way. And then I'm going to get the top part really good. So just a really good distressing. I'm not worried about completely covering it. I even turn my brush sideways and do it sideways a little bit. All that good yeah. Now, to the Waverly wax. I'm just taking that same chippy brush and got some of the paint off, and I'm just going to distress it some. I'm going to go over the whole entire sign, which was only 99 cents from the Goodwill, by the way. It's going to go around my edges. If I did too much, like one part here, like that side, I felt like I did too much. I just took my wipey and wiped some of it off. Then I'm going to take the chippy brush and just really go around those top edges just to make them come out a little bit more. So that's it. Nothing perfect. It's all just a rough brush. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. Give it a good dry. Now we're going to talk about what we're going to put on it. I found this cute little thing in a Cricut Design Space. I added the arrow to it though. I made the farmer's market label, which will go on the wagon. The farm fresh watermelon goes on the sign. Now, of course, for any of you that have a Cricut or don't, you know that any different color you use comes up on a different mat. Well, I don't want to sit here and prepare 4 different mats. So this is just a little hack, if you didn't know. You can take, and by clicking the 3 dots, click Move Object and click it to the first mat, which for me was my white one. You can take all of your images, or however many will fit, and you can put them all onto one mat. So now instead of having to prepare 4 mats, you only have to prepare the one. The only trick to this is you have to be careful when you do put the vinyl on the mat. So we know that the watermelon and then this outline is in red. So I need to check it where that is in the spacing. Like that starts at 3 and goes all the way down to 12. I know my arrow is in black. Takes up about 6 squares right there. The farmer's market's in white. And then that side over there, that was in the green. So my mat is set up exactly covering the same squares as it is on my screen. So you just got to kind of count, look at your numbers, be careful. And this will all go together. No, I double, triple, quadruple check, and I always give myself some extra. And here she goes. Just using some glossy vinyl. Gonna load that up, gonna get her cut out, and hopefully if I've set it up right, which I have made mistakes, people, trust me. But this one mat technique is much better than 4 mats. I'd rather take the time to count and put it all on one, especially if you're doing a small project like this, than to have to set up 4 separate mats. There she is. I always burnish it and make sure it's down good before I start to weed. This was a task. I'm going to weed this arrow for you and then save you the mercy of the rest of that. Now, that's the transfer tape I use. Love that transfer tape. I went ahead and got my pieces, got the transfer tape on, then pulled my pieces off the mat. Always remember, go with gravity, just like I'm doing here. I'm pulling the backing off and my picture is on the table. Okay, those little letters did not want to, and I even ripped one of the curly cues off and have to like patch that back on here. You can see over there where watermelon sign is with the green. I added that green to the watermelon together before I pulled it off the mat. Here I am taking this. I'm just going to burnish this down to my sign. We're making a little farmer's market sign here. I tried to make sure that was straight. It was not once I started pulling it off. But I stopped recording and I did some little cutting and rearranging, and it's not so bad. Going to put the rest of this on. Going to put my little arrow up there at the top that I added. Get that on first. Then I'm going to put the rest of our farm fresh watermelons on. Pick yourself. Pulling that back very slowly. And remember, this is even sped up, guys. But this goes very slowly. And there we go. I was on the struggle bus today with that vinyl. I don't know why. I usually don't have much problem. But whoo, problems today. Even though it doesn't look it. Just taking my X-Acto knife and kind of cutting in between where those slats are. But I'm not going to cut any of the tiny pieces. Here's our wagon. I'm taking some alcohol, wiping down the one side that we were going to put those farmer's market words on. I don't want this to go all the way across. I'm just kind of putting it kind of like on the one end, and I'm going to offset it a little bit. Yeah, too much paper drives me crazy, guys. Sorry. This is why it took me so long. So I'm going to put the farmer's market towards the top, burnish that on, pull that off. That's why I love that transfer tape. It comes off very easy. And then don't ask why this market is in 2 separate pieces. We're just don't even ask any questions. Just follow along, kids. Sorry. Yeah. But it does come off. I do get the word market off of there. And I'm putting that kind of over and under the word farmers. You'll see why in just a second. Burnish that on. Doop, 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 doop. And pull that off. And there she is. And you could use this for anything. You could use this for every season, but that's why I have that offset, because the sign will go to the side right there. Now I'm going to take some Excelsior and fill my wagon. Here's Gracie back. Moose will make an appearance here as well, because it's like, oh, grass, Excelsior, plants, oh, anything. Oh, yay, Mom's got food. So going to make a mess with that and get that in my wagon, because we're going to take our little wagon and we're going to put our melons that we made with the spindles. There's Moose. Oh, look, food. Mom's got food. Yay, Mom. Now, everybody off the table. Thank you. So we're going to take these guys and we're going to just set them in our wagon. Just however you want to rearrange them. Prop our little sign up right there beside it. Look at it. It's so adorable. It's so cute. They came out so good. I was so excited. I love how they're just kind of whimsical, because it looks like there's bites taken out of them or something, because the spindles were all wiggly and wonky. And here we go, guys. Farm fresh watermelon. Pick your own. Kind of go around here. And remember, this wagon is versatile. You can use it for every season. With fall coming up, I'm probably going to throw some pumpkins in there and some corn. When Christmas comes up, I'll throw some ornaments or trees in it. I could use it for any season and just repurpose it. So functional. I love it. Love it. I know it's an oldie, but I hope you guys enjoyed, especially if you haven't seen it before. Check out the other beautiful ladies and do all the YouTubey thingies. I love you guys.